Good morning, everybody. This is the homily for today. It's Easter Wednesday, and happy to share with you from the story of the two disciples on the road to Emmaus, or very possibly from their point of view, on the road away from Jerusalem, away from the resurrection, and away from the changes that was about to make in their lives. Gospel of the day is Luke 24, verses 13 to 35. A little long, hang with me, it's deep. That very day, the first day of the week, two of Jesus' disciples were going to a village 7 miles from Jerusalem called Emmaus. And they were conversing about all the things that had occurred. And it happened that while they were conversing and debating, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them, but their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing as you walk along?" They stopped, looking downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, said to him in reply, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have taken place there in these days?" And he replied to them, "What sort of things?" They said to him, "The things that happened to Jesus the Nazarene, who was a prophet mighty in deed and word before God and all the people. How our chief priests and rulers both handed him over to a sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that he would be the one to redeem Israel. And besides all this, it is now the third day since this took place. Some women from our group, however, have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. They came back and reported that they had indeed seen a vision of angels, who announced that he was alive. Then some of those with us went to the tomb and found things just as the women had described, but him they did not see." And he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are! How slow of heart to believe all that the prophets spoke. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, he gave the impression that he was going on farther. But they urged him, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. And it happened that while he was with them at table, he took bread, said the blessing, broke it, and gave it to them. With that their eyes were opened and they recognized him, but he vanished from their sight. Then they said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he spoke to us on the way and opened the scriptures to us?" So they set out at once and returned to Jerusalem, where they found gathered together the 11 and those with him who were saying, "The Lord has truly been raised and has appeared to Simon." Then the two recounted what had taken place on the way and how he was made known to them in the breaking of bread. Longer gospel, interesting thought. Jesus appears to them as they're running away from Jerusalem, and he asks them what they're talking about. They're surprised he doesn't know what was going on, and they tell him that this is what happened. Prophet Jesus, he had said, hey, if they were his disciples for a while, they would know this. On the third day, I will raise it up again. He had said that the Son of Man would be crucified, die, and would rise on the third day. So, here they go telling this stranger why they are leaving Jerusalem. The Son of Man was handed over to a sentence of death, 1. Crucified, 2. It is the third day since this took place, and the prophet, as they know as they were his disciples, said he would rise on the third day. Some women from our tomb have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. 3, body's gone. 4, they said that they saw a vision of angels who announced that he was alive. 4, some of us went to the tomb to check this out and found that it was exactly like the women said. Conclusion, we're leaving, it's over. Like, that makes no sense, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. In what world does that make sense? Like, why would you leave when everything is the way it was supposed to be? Detail at the end. They finally get to the inn. Think not so much Motel 8. Think more like local inn, bar, beer. You know, there, now that the song by Sam Hunt is getting popular, Hard to Forget, he samples Webb Pierce's "This is the glass," you know, that will help me to forget all of my troubles. So they're in that mindset like, hey, it was a total mess. It was horrible. Our prophet got killed. We're out of here. And if we get a few cold ones, or in that time without refrigeration, not so cold ones, to forget all of our troubles, so much the better. And they get mess because Jesus sits down there with them. But what I would like to focus on for us, and what I think is really challenging for us, is the fact that they had every single thing they needed to stick around. That's what the math added up to. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals Jesus is risen from the dead. And they leave. And they run away. I think it's very possibly because it is so much easier for us with our coping mechanisms, in our self-sufficiency, to say, you know what, I would prefer to cope with the sad reality that it's all over and I have to go back to fishing or whatever it was I was doing, than to open ourselves up to the radical, scarily transforming, and almost threateningly awesome reality of the resurrection. That God is real, that God rose from the dead, and that means that my life has to change and will change. And these disciples are like, I'm going to go home because it's over. And if I have to drown my troubles, I'm willing to do that. Ask yourself, do you run away from the marvelous things that God does in your life because they're scary, because they threaten to change things? Would you rather cope the way you know how to cope? If the answer is yes, don't. Don't run away, because what He has for you is so much better. The changes He wants to make in your life are so much more powerful, and because He created you, those changes are so much more you than the plans that you have. To close up this gospel, it's just this awesome detail at the end. They get up after Jesus disappears and they run back because they think, we have to tell the other disciples. We have to let them know that He's alive. He's sending us out there. We're the ones who are going to bring this to. And they get there and everybody already knows. It's like, oh, guess not. Because they get greeted with that fact. The Lord is risen. He appeared to Simon. But I don't think that's a downer for them. I think as they went to bed or didn't go to bed, because maybe they were probably just too excited to sleep at that point, they realized Jesus didn't hunt us down and follow us to Emmaus because He needed us to share the good news. He did it because He needed us, period. Because He wanted us, His disciples, who were scared of His gift because it was just too big. He wanted to make sure that we came back and received it. Those disciples, that Cleopas and his unnamed companion, that's us. That's you. Let Christ bring home to you the power of what He wants to do in your life, and embrace that change, that transformation that will make you so much more you, so much happier, so much stronger, so much more, period, than you ever have been before. God bless.